WKYS.
Yeah, this definitely goes against your mantra. All right, y'all.
Pass the same.
Our special guest, yes. But we know that's not true. Our special guest is here, ladies and gentlemen, from Zion Baptist Church. Pastor Keith Battle is in the building.
Hey.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yes, so you're our hot topic today, headed into the weekend, because sometimes we like to find, or I love a good book.
Thank you.
And I love to find a good book. And Money, you over here, you had a friend that was like, yeah, my pastor wrote a book.
Yeah, and told me about the book, and I couldn't believe it. And I was like, nah, I need to get this book. And then I had another friend email me about you. So I was like, Angie, we gotta bring him up here.
So he's up here. The name of your book is called Chickology.
Yes.
Why Men and Women Cheat.
Yes.
Understanding, avoiding, and recovering from infidelity.
And I just couldn't understand because, black men don't cheat. So I didn't know.
Boy, bye.
Here we go. We're going to be honest today on this Friday.
So, Pastor Keith, thank you for coming up here.
My pleasure.
Tell us about Chickology.
So, the book is obviously about the whole world of cheating. Whatever the committed relationship someone is in, there are always challenges to keep trust in the relationship.
Right.
And the book is about discovering those patterns that lead people towards crossing a line, stepping out. And they're consistent across the board, regardless of the relationship. So relationships hit seasons of depravity, I would call them, like where there's loneliness and isolation. People are not connecting. They focus more on their career, on their children, on their other responsibilities. And the things that brought them together into the relationship are no longer fed. Like they don't date. They're not talking as much. They're not connecting. Certain arguments they can't overcome. And it makes them vulnerable to conversations that lead to infidelity.
Wow.
That's kind of how it goes.
Because I assume as a pastor, you probably deal with that a
All the
lot.
time.
You kind of minister to couples and trying to help them. Because at first, when I was like, a pastor wrote a book, it called it Chickology.
For sure. I've lived it too. I know what it's like to be in that situation, of course, yeah.
As side
absolutely.
man? Or
A side slick.
A
How about
Side
that?
slick.
Yeah.
That's what he calls it. Yep.
Yeah,
There it
for sure.
is.
Yeah.
Side slick. Okay, so in that process, I guess in your personal journey, you realized that there were certain things that this is how we ended up in this position, and so your book is your book more about the side person or just more about the overall relationship?
Just the whole world. The side chick is just a popular term. It means a mistress, somebody on the side, But it's all about the whole world of cheating, why we do it, how to avoid it. Like if you don't know why you got into a certain situation, you're liable to go back into it. So I know how I got where I was. I know what fed my behavior. So you have to understand what got you there. And then what are you going to put into place to prevent you from going in that direction again, to protect and rebuild the trust? Some people don't know I found out my significant other is cheated. What do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, when do you know when to throw a person away? Like, when do you know when to move on? Like, I'm done. My heart is shattered. My heart is broke. But I've got so much invested in this relationship. We got kids together.
Right.
We got history together. Do I throw it away or how do we rebuild? And for the person who crossed the line, a lot of guys who actually end up in extramarital relationships or cheating didn't really want to hurt their spouse. Right. They were just hurting. And so it depends on the nature of the cheating. How prevalent was it? Did their heart go too? Because a man can have sex with a woman and his heart not be there.
So do you think it's fair to say that in some circumstances or some instances, people can't get over cheating?
I think sometimes people can't. People can't recover from the hurt, the wounds. And then here's another thing that makes it difficult. The person that cheated doesn't want to be accountable. Like you still can't go on their phone. You still can't check their email. Are you serious? Like you broke trust, but we can't hold you accountable? Like who's supposed to live with somebody who's proven that they will be unfaithful and yet they still don't want to be accountable?
And that's a good
point.
point.
Get over that.
Because I've read something that said, the person who cheated, if you're going to go back into the relationship and try to build from that, then that person has to be willing to do whatever it takes for the other to rebuild the trust. So whether that's giving up your password, giving up your social media, they have to be willing to do that. And I thought that was really interesting.
Respecting the boundaries that the wounded person has established now. Now, I want to be able to say who you get to hang out with. And you know what I'm saying? Like, you need almost like parental level accountability. And some people aren't willing to do that. And I'm saying, if you're with somebody who already crossed the line, they violated, they've already proven what they're capable of.
Yeah.
And if they're not willing to make the adjustments and the amendments, you can't continue to put yourself in a place where you're vulnerable for more. Your heart is too precious to continue to let it to be shattered.
Yeah.
To allow it to be shattered.
We've got Pastor Keith Battle in the building, Zion Baptist Church in here. He's got this book,
Appreciate the Baptist. You added
Chickology.
that too. It's not Baptist, but it's cool.
We'll
take that. We'll take
Baptist?
Baptist. We'll take AME. We'll take whatever.
I'm sorry, Zion Church. I'm sorry.
Zion.
I know, I'm so used to Baptist. I apologize.
It does sound like a Baptist church, though, Zion Baptist.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it
float off
You know,
tongue.
It flows.
My hometown got a Zion Baptist.
You got the correct. No, you got the correct. I get it right. Zion Church. Zion
cool.
Church. Let me ask you this too. What is your message? Because we ran a clip from one of your sermons where you basically were talking to almost like a potential side chick, right? Which is essentially that if you know a married man and a woman, and you begin to lose respect for that married woman, then you need to step away immediately from that friendship at the time. Can you speak to, what does this book say to side pieces? Because we've talked to side people. We've had conversations, and we're going to get into our great debate next, but we've had conversations where women have proudly said, yeah, I'm a side chick and I like to be a side chick.
Yeah, I like it.
Men too.
Yeah.
And they know their role and they're cool in that role. So what is your message to side pieces, side chicks, side slicks, as you call them for the guys?
I just say, we have a president that wants to make America great. For me, I want to make marriage great. And you can't have a great marriage when you have extramarital relationships, because when you commit to a person, it forces you to keep working on that relationship.
Yeah.
But if I can go outside my relationship when my wife and I are not getting along, and I got somebody else who will comfort me, talk to me, have sex with me, and all that stuff, then I can let my marriage atrophy while I get all of my pleasure and support and comfort in some other place. And I'm saying, just leave people's marriages alone. Yeah. Leave them alone. Get your own person. Mess with somebody single. If you want to do that, then mess with somebody single. I'm just saying, make marriage sacred enough to just leave it alone. I think marriage is sacred. So, just leave married people alone.
Do you feel like in your research that more married folks cheat with other married folks, or it's more, or is it more people that are single with married people? So men who are woke, if you want to say woke, tend to be attracted to single women more because there's less risk. Mm-hmm. Is it?
But women tend to be attracted to married men because it has a sense of responsibility. Like, she knows that he's not getting something that she can provide. Like that's what a side chick is. They make up for deficiencies. So that's typically how it goes.
Okay.
But there's no one size fits all. People cheat with people, whoever. They find somebody attractive and like, where can this go?
Right.
Like, you can send out nonverbal hints, like, I'm interested, or I like that, or I like your outfit, or like, you keep complimenting the person enough, then they'll like want to explore where this can go. Yeah. And it doesn't always start with sex. It could just be like, we just vibe.
Yeah. And that seems to be what happened with Pastor John Gray over here, who started off with he's known this woman supposedly for about 20 years since she was young. Wow. She even was going through a marriage, and after her divorce is when he kind of started supposedly making these moves, of which he said he never touched her. It was an emotional, they had an emotional connection or an emotional affair.
And then the receipts came out.
Yes, and so we're gonna read that next for the great debate. I want you to hear John Gray, because she put these voice messages out, and you said that you kind of dealt with this as well in your own personal walk. Yeah. And I'm curious, I want to talk to you when we get back about how that affected your congregation. When pastors have to speak to the congregation about their indiscretions, how that relationship changes, if at all. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on that, and then we're going to have people call in as well to let us know, if this was your pastor, and I'm going to let you hear John Gray, but if this was your pastor, would you stay at the church or would you leave? Wow. Because that kind of changes the dynamics, I think, especially because when it comes to pastors, people hold them in such high regard.
For sure.
So what happened, I want you to speak from your perspective next, and we'll take calls. All right, we got Keith Battle, Zion Church. Look, I'm going to get it together now. Pastor Keith Battle, Zion Church is in the building. We got more from him next, okay? Well, guys, we've got Pastor Keith Battle. Keith Battle, he's going to join us today, he's got a book out, Chickology. Pastor Keith, where can we get the book, and how can we read more about this book?
This book is available on Amazon. You can get it at Zion Church. You can get it at the First Baptist Church of Glenara, and you can get it at Barnes & Nobles.
Nice. And like you said, again, when I first saw the title, and I was like, and a pastor wrote it, I was like, whoa, how'd you come up with the title?
Theology, that's the pastor in it, right? We study this thing.
You do
It's definitely a catchy title, for sure.
Yeah. I did a message on it in 2015. I just did a message. I got a message about it, and it really was popular. And I did a follow-up in 2018, and it just seemed right to just put these thoughts in writing.
No, I think it's cool. I'm very interested to check it out and read it.
A lot of side chicks in the Bible.
Oh,
There.
Yeah, they call adulteresses or mistresses.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're everywhere. And side slicks. Or what did you call them? What'd you call them? Side pieces?
There's side slicks in the Bible.
Side slicks. Right. I never
I just came up with that.
I was going to say, did they put the men out there? Because they sure enough got no problem putting these women out here as side chicks.
Absolutely.
These
There are
side
a lot
men
of
didn't
side
want to call
slicks.
themselves
Men
side
and women cheat.
Exactly.
This
We
is
don't.
true.
Y'all, that's y'all fault. Y'all weren't creative enough to come up with a
you know
name.
what?
We had a name.
No, the Bible was written by
buddy.
men.
People in same-sex relationships cheat.
Well, that's
It ain't just heterosexual.
So everybody is cheating out here.
I'm not saying everybody's cheating. Everybody,
It's out here.
it can happen to anybody.
Right.
Anybody is vulnerable.
Which means it can happen to pastors.
Absolutely.
And so that is today's
does
great.
happen to pastors.
Well, yeah, today's great debate kind of stems from this story of Pastor John Gray and his wife. And a while back, he was before his congregation, kind of admitting to infidelity slightly.
AJ, you were there. You've seen it. I bring it up because people see this. But what they didn't see is for the last 2 years, we weren't sure if we would even make it. Just smile with me real quick, because I need them to know this is what the people saw. But they didn't see the tears at night.
And he's up there with his wife.
They didn't see the times when one of us was sleeping on a couch because the argument, we had to keep smiling, because even though we were struggling and even though I was failing as a husband, I was already in front of the people, and the people can't really receive my brokenness, because where do leaders go when they bleed? Because sheep don't do well with blood, so I had to bleed alone. And what's strange is I traveled the whole world, and the Holy Ghost showed up, and people got saved, and me and my wife just kept smiling, and nobody knew that we were getting ready to get a divorce. Because as long as I kept producing, nobody cared what was happening at home. Because as long as we can use you, we will. And then when you fail, we'll find someone else. Just do me a favor and keep smiling, keep producing, fly all over the world, fight for everybody else's family while your own marriage is falling apart, while your kids are crying for you every night, wondering when daddy's coming home, but you're doing the best you can to provide, and you're really scared to come home because you don't know how to be a husband or a father, because you didn't see either one. So you just got to keep smiling until it all falls apart. And I started listening to the wrong voices and let some people get too close. And she found out, and she set it off, just like a good wife should.
Okay, so Pastor Keith Battle, when you hear that, what are your first thoughts initially?
I can relate to everything he said. I know what it's like to be a hero in public and a zero at home.
Ooh.
Wow. The Bible says King David in the Bible was a worshiper. He was a psalmist. He was a writer. He was a warrior. He did all these wonderful things. And yet one day he saw a woman bathing and pulled up on her, got somebody to get her for him, and he had an affair with her. Her name was Bathsheba. But God describes him as a man after my own heart. But the emphasis is that he was a man.
Right.
And I think we place people, human beings, on such high pedestals that we forget they're just human beings.
Right.
So I hear his brokenness. I don't know him personally like that, but also come from brokenness. All my uncles were players. My father and mother had 5 marriages combined. So I'm used to seeing infidelity. Like I'm used to seeing a man with a girlfriend and a wife. So when you grow up around it, you think it's normal.
Right.
Dysfunction can become normal to you.
Right.
So when I hear it, I can relate to it. Absolutely.
Now, part of the issue was that apparently he was saying they were in a difficult place in their relationship, and it wasn't working out.
Sure.
But he had kind of like an emotional affair with this other woman. And then the woman has now put out voice messages and receipts, essentially, saying, nah, this wasn't no emotional affair. And this is him calling her after his wife had caught these text messages and was in his phone.
When you get this message, delete it. My wife saw our text messages from Friday. She knows you were in the same hotel as me. And she does not know that I went to your room. She doesn't remember me leaving. She's got your number.
Okay, so
Hey, this is Tiger.
according to the woman,
If you can.
according to the woman,
please
he
don't
got
call my
her
phone.
hotel in the same
Money,
hotel
please.
that the wife and him are staying in.
Yeah.
Right.
He left that hotel, went to see her, and then
Left
he's
the
like,
room.
left the room,
Yeah.
Left the room. He just.
went to her room,
Went to the
Yeah.
room. Yep.
and so she's saying, nah, this wasn't just an emotional affair.
Sure.
So today's great debate, Shay Parker,
Is, if you find out that your pastor cheated, and, this was recently, less than a year ago,
Yeah.
right?
would you leave the church or would you stay?
For me, it depends on the pastor. It depends on how is this a pattern in his life or her life? Is this a nuance? Is this a period of failure, or is this a pattern of lifestyle and what help have they done to repair it?
Okay.
In their own marriage, is this something that is going to continue? Is this something that now that it's out, they're gonna, he's gonna walk a different path. He's gonna be accountable. And
But
all
what
those
if
things.
he lied? What if originally he did all that on the pulpit? in
Everybody
front-
lies.
And he says, but he says, if he tells his congregation as a pastor, and he says, I had an emotional affair. I never touched the woman.
Yeah.
Why even do
Smoke, but I
that
did
in
not
front of your
inhale.
church?
95% of people who are confronted with infidelity deny it. 95% of people confronted with infidelity deny it initially because lying is motivated by fear.
Right.
So we fear the consequences. So, and it's not just what might happen to me. Sometimes people are trying to protect the person that they cross the line with.
Okay.
Like if Money and Shay had a side relationship. I'm sorry to use y'all an example. But
And I found
if
out.
Money was
Oh,
married,
Lord.
he may be trying to protect Shay
Right.
from what damage it could happen to her. So we tend to cover what we're trying to protect. So lying is just a form of covering and protecting. I mean, he was trying to express some form of violation without
Yeah.
giving the details.
Yeah.
But it looks like he didn't tell the whole truth.
Right.
That's why they say in the courtroom, do you promise to tell the truth?
The whole truth.
And watch this, and nothing but the truth. Because we will kind of placate around the truth to try to justify it.
Add some little elements.
And then they make you raise your right hand and put the other one on the Bible. Like they really gonna try to get this out of you.
Try to get you.
So you know why they do that? Because it's natural for people to amend stories to protect.
No, you're right.
We call this so now we want people to snitch. So my question is, what is her motivation? If
Maybe
they
it's
had,
to clear her name. If he over here saying,
but how's that clearing her name?
in the sense of like, you like he's kind of saying she pursued me, or she.
Well, I don't know.
Don't be looking at me crazy, Money, or she did this, she did that. It's like you're not trying to take responsibility, and you talked about that earlier. A lot of this getting over and moving forward is about taking responsibility.
Right, and she's bringing more attention to him and his
Right,
failure and his
saying
platform,
that
but she's
he
also
didn't
bringing
take
more
full
attention to herself.
True.
Like you didn't know he was married?
Ooh.
Like how
Come
did
on
she
now.
get a
Hold
pass?
on now.
Okay,
No,
so
no,
so
wait a minute.
how did she get a
Hold on.
pass? Like
Hold
we
on
want
now.
we want to
No,
throw the
she don't
preacher
get
in
a
the
pass,
trash,
baby.
right? We want to throw him in the trash. So
He's
none
the
of the things
pastor.
he's done, none of the things he's done in the community, none of the things he's done to help people means a thing now. He's dead wrong. She's almost not the victim. He's the villain,
Right.
she's the victim. I'm saying they both are villains.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they both are victims. Because how is it that she's so broken that she will go to a hotel to meet a married man? We ain't talking about that. See, I'm talking about all of it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about why a married man,
married
why his
man
wife
of
is
God.
sleep is creeping out the room.
Right.
And I'm talking about why a woman is so desperate for a half a man she can't find a whole one.
Lord have mercy.
Don't preach to him.
202
Not on this
432.
Friday.
Come on now.
If we're gonna talk about, let's talk
This
about
Friday,
all of it.
this Friday
All of
preach
it.
day
Talk
now.
about all of it. 202-432 WKYS. If you found out your pastor had an affair, would you stay around? Would you stay in the church? Would you remain a member of the congregation? Talk to us. We got Keith Battle in the building. Zion Church in the building. Come on, Pastor. Speak to us.